quite a packed agenda, so we wanted to make sure he was available. And so one of the items is going to allow for public discussion on the short-term lodging changes. And so I would just ask Chad and Dwayne if you talk to anyone in your neighborhood that are in the area. That I know there was a lot of people from Ward 1 that showed up at the last two meetings. We don't send letters to this, we just post it in the paper, so I'm just trying to get the word out.
You mean Alan, Dwayne?
I'm sorry, Alan.
You said Chad.
I'm sorry.
He's Ward 3.
Yeah, Ward 3. I was
So
looking over there.
7 PM?
7 p.m. after the Parks meetings on the 12th. So, but yeah, anyone who is, I know there was quite a few people that showed up at the last two meetings, and we did not have public comment that last time, and we are going to open it up at this meeting. So I just want to make sure we're getting the word out that that has changed. So, and we did put it in the paper, and we've got the agenda ready, so. And then lastly, I just want to thank everyone for coming to the groundbreaking last week. I think it went really well with AZZ Precoat, as well as the Oldenburg family. I know they were very thankful for everything that we did for them and dedicating the park to Dick Oldenburg. And we had some great conversations with the state and the governor, and so definitely some good press and good news for the community. And I just wanted to show they shipped us this over the weekend. Nice glass case with shovel in there. Says ACC Precoat Washington 2023, so we're going to get this hung up probably in the Washington room on the third floor. So just wanted to thank everyone for coming to that, and it was a great event. So
Thanks, Sal.
Thank you, Sal. Sherry?
Emergency Management Department, Cell on Wheels equipment.
I don't see Mark around. I can handle this too. And Tim, I mean, it's whatever. Basically, this is in the past, AT&T's provided a cell on wheels equipment up there on the fairgrounds. And I think what the plan was in the past, once the tower got put up out there by MPAC, they felt that it would be able to handle the load. I think they found out last year that that was not the case.
Collapsed hardly, yes.
Yeah, and it could not. And so basically, they want to put that back up on the fairgrounds like they've had before. And hopefully, this will help with some of the congestion.
Mark's not here. He got stuck at a hazmat overturned truck all afternoon, this morning and afternoon, so I'm sure he's wiped. Exactly Darren's point, the population of the fair is such that it actually maxes out a tower. And so with the estimation of about 15,000 phones hitting the tower, that overloads their system, and that's what could actually cause it to start crumbling. So the cow in this particular case makes good sense to bring it in, and AT&T is receptive of it. Mark is working with the fair board and doing all the necessary things to get it in, but they are looking for approval.
It should be located.
Cell tower last year?
What's that?
We did not do the cell tower last year.
You did not have one there.
I don't think we've had,
This year.
That's what this does.
Cell on wheels. This
Dude.
is a temporary one.
I don't think we've had it the last two fairs, in fact.
I'm going to say at least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks to Mark that they're coming back, because they wouldn't even come to the table and talk with the chamber or the fair board about it. No, we're fine. We put in a new antenna, and no. Until Thursday night, when you can really load test it, you don't know what you got, so.
And we learned some things too with FirstNet. We were sold some things with FirstNet, but in order for us to get priority on that particular towers, we have to authorize phones, and I think we get a 48-hour authorization. So we've got reminders set Tuesday before the fair to make the request that Thursday, and then we have automatically with those FirstNet phones numbers that are on that list, we'll have priority on the system.
Motion to send to council.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Bear to send it to council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. D, please,
Be
Sherry.
able to FaceTime live, Mark.
Parks Department Fairgrounds operating agreement.
Good evening, council. In your packet tonight, you'll find a letter and ordinance for the Town and Country Fair Agreement. This will be our second agreement with them. Not a whole lot has changed from last agreement to this one. I'll hit the highlights. We excluded the pool parking lot from the agreement in the exhibit so we can be open during the fair, so the pool can be open during the fair, because in the old agreement it was included. We excluded the soccer field since the soccer field's under a contract or lease with the soccer organization. The soccer parking lot is still included with this because that's where they shoot the fireworks off from. There was a couple electrical meters that got excluded and other ones that got included based on usage. And then we added that the fair was able or allowed to hang up signage and ads during the fair. And then we also added the Team Track facility to the agreement, since that's where the carnival workers stay. And so, as in last contract, the city will receive a standard $20,000 each year of the agreement, and then the city will receive 10% of the profit in excess of $200,000, which is the same as last time also.
So the last, what we use those proceeds for, usually go right back into amenities right around the fairgrounds. The first one we did, we built the sidewalk on the dam around Lions Lake. We took out the asphalt and poured concrete there. And then this one went towards the pavilion where we're gonna have the pickleball courts. Didn't pay for all of it, but I mean, nice chunk of it went towards that. So it's been a good way to work together with Chamber, et cetera, and I think they recognize it as well, so.
Motion to send to council.
Motion by Patke, second by Hopmeyer. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. DB, please.
Midwest Pool Management Agreement.
In your packet, you'll find a First Amendment to the MPM, or Midwest Pool Management Lifeguard Management Contract for 2023. This is the third year of the agreement, third and final year of the agreement. It was an amendment necessary to increase, due to increase in maintenance costs and labor costs. Increase is $39,300. Basically, it includes chemicals and then an increase, minimum increase of lifeguard starting pay to $15 an hour. They have found that last year they received lots of applicants, more than in the last couple years, but applicants actually accepting the job was by far lower than any year they have had in the recent memory. And the main factor of applicants not accepting the position was rate of pay, because they could go to Subway or other, places, frontline workers or businesses that were paying more for frontline workers. And so this would increase at all their cities to at least minimum of $15 starting pay for lifeguards. To help offset some of this increase, administration and I have looked at, we increased programming fees 10%, so swim lessons, rentals, we're gonna look at, we haven't done it yet, but we'll be looking at concession stand pricing, food costs. And then also, we did the week that school or the week before Washington High started last year, we were open based on demand from 2021. 2021, it was hot. And the pool was still new, and we had a lot of demand, and Park Board wanted to see if we could keep that, the pool open a week longer than what was in the contract. And MPMA agreed to it on a trial basis. They were a little concerned about staffing it. Last year, the weather during that week was very, very stormy and rainy, and so we probably got lucky. We weren't open much. They were able to staff what little we were open, but due to the staffing shortages and lifeguard shortages, they said, that was a one-time trial, we're not gonna do it again. So we'll eliminate that week also. So I guess question.
And you do get a deduct on your contract if they're not open for those days.
Yes.
That comes
Yeah,
back
last
at the
year we
end,
had
just so you know.
about $10,000 back.
I think we gave you a preview that this was coming with regards to this increase when we talked about, I think, some of the fees that you had mentioned earlier at a previous meeting.
Did I read the City of Union is lowered their, what do you gotta be, 15 to work at the pool?
I think so. I don't know. Ethan's shaking his head. He must have done a story on it.
But,
14?
14
you
is
go.
what Sean is saying.
Do you know if there is Union under contract with Midwest Pool?
No, they're not.
They do it themselves? Okay. So,
They had quite a bit of problems last year from what I
you
understand.
might gain more if you lowered it. I don't know if they can do that or not.
I don't know if they, like I said, if their insurance, it'd be up to them if they want to go ahead and cover that,
Well,
but
the beauty of that, Dwayne, is Midwest Pool Management can do that,
That's what I'm saying.
not us,
Yeah.
and then we have to worry
Right.
about, like, we're not.
They probably still have to go through us, yes, no?
no,
As long as they have insurance again for it and all that, that should be fine. We contract with
I don't
them.
think there's anything in the contract that says what the minimum age has to be with us. So they could do it on their own.
Yeah.
Motion to move to council.
Second. Motion by Patke, second by Hopemar to move it on. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. EA, Sherry, please.
Police Department Code Amendment tall grass violations.
Evening, council. In your package, you have a letter and then an ordinance that we're going to recommend to be amended regarding tall grass or weeds. Essentially, we're asking for two things. One is to only require one notification of a violation rather than a notification of violation and then basically it starts over. So one per growing season will be required, and then it gets progressive from there. And that's the second part of it, where the first violation, there'll be actually a violation schedule, for lack of better terms, where the first violation is $200, the second violation will be $275, third will be $350, and then the fourth and subsequent violations will be $450 for violating the ordinance. So it's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to manage. Right now, our code enforcement officer spends a lot of time running these down, and then essentially each violation he has to start over. It just makes it easier to manage this way.
Were the penalties similar, Chief?
No, it always depended upon, if there was a penalty assessed, it would be up to the judge. And this sets a guideline for the judge, then it's cut and dry. So. Any other questions?
Great idea. Go ahead, Joe.
I made that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Hopemar, second by Patke. All those in favor, say aye.
You bet.
Okay, E alpha passes.
Live scan fingerprint system.
So this is, in your package, you have a letter from me and then a contract or agreement from IDEMIA Security. If you're not familiar, we utilize an electronic fingerprinting system for all arrestees, and then we also do it for certain other applications, whether it be someone needs access to our building or if someone comes in for fingerprinting or things of that nature, but mostly it's for arrestees. We've been utilizing this system for more than 15 years, and it's just renewing our 5-year contract. It's a 5-year contract for this. The good thing is that I know for sure the past 2 contracts, we have not paid a dime. The Highway Patrol, there's been grants available, and I anticipate that to be there for this contract also. But we do budget it every year just in case something falls through with a grant. But in the past 2 contracts, it's been covered, so.
Chief, can they actually do this from a patrol car?
No, well, yes and no. So part of the package is, and we actually are looking into this, there's a portable fingerprint scanner that's available where on the street an officer could do that. That would be more for identification purposes. If someone's giving you their name, you feel that maybe that's not who they are, you can fingerprint them in this little portable scanner, immediately find out who they are, whether that's accurate or not. So that would be beneficial. We are looking into that, but that's part of this package also.
Motion, move it on.
Motion by Wessels,
Second.
second by Bear.
Any other
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Jim.
That's it,
Any other, I don't know if there's any other department heads had anything else to add? Tim?
Just appreciation to the council that was there, council members that were present on Saturday, and the mayor. Thank you again for your presence and everyone that participated in the fundraiser. I believe somewhere around 14,000, I think is the number for the Solentrup family. The wife and the parents were there, so I had an opportunity to speak with them, and they were very grateful for the fundraiser and the turnout, and thanks to the Washington Police Department and Street Department. They did some things for us as well, but all the departments that helped us out, as well as the School District of Washington, for their support in this as well. Great turnout. I was blown away. I didn't want to look at the traffic problem outside, so I didn't go out there to see how bad we had 14th Street messed up, but I think they said they had a little over 500 went through the door that morning, so, and there was over $2,600 in just donations in the bucket, so pretty awesome endeavor for the local community to support one of our own. Lastly, this is Mr. Nilja's last operations meeting. And on a personal note to John, I would just like to say thank you as a counterpart in the city, as a fellow engineer. He challenged me, and his work is going to be seen for a long time moving forward. So from me personally and from the fire department, thanks, John, for all your work.
Quitter.
Your Honor, if I may, Tim may answer to this too. He alluded to the fact that Mark was at an accident today. One of our own volunteer firemen was actually in an accident on Highway Y outside of New Haven today, and a fuel truck landed on its top. So a scary situation there. I know Tim's son's been there all day, Mark, a few others.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Huh?
Yeah, we had 7 guys up there all day, or 9 guys up there all
Yeah,
day.
so just keep Alex, one of our own firefighters, in your prayers. So, thank you.
Okay,
Need a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
No move.
Wessels,
Second.
Motion, Patke, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're adjourned for a few minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Did you get it, Al?
I did.
What'd you do?
Same thing.
Bless you, my son.
Did you get some?
Well, John was here.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Turned it off twice.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, April 3rd, 2023, 7 p.m. Bear,
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Coulter, Heidrich, Holtmeyer,
Here.
Patke,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge. Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated March, what day is that? March 20th, 2023. Bear,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels.
Need a motion?
Second.
Motion by Wessels, second by Holtmeyer for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
By your vote, minutes are approved.
Your Honor, we're still struggling with internet service. I was on last meeting, now we're off again. Can we still get, no luck at all? Anybody?
I got in.
He finally got in.
Okay.
Guest network.
Oh, I only got guessed.
I can't,
All right.
I can't get
Like, I didn't know if we need to follow along or.
Probably, sounds like it's gonna go in and out all night, you guys. I think we ought to proceed.
John, is that on the,
Work up.
I was gonna say, if you could keep it up on the screen, that'd be good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sherry.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have Aldi Inc., number 05 for a liquor license approval, the final payment request for dog park mini shelters, and a final payment request for Rabbit Trail Analysis CMAQ application.
Okay, need a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Motion by Holtmeyer, second by Briggs. Any discussion? All those in,
Shoppers will be happy.
yes, they will. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments, recognition of Sarah Hotzmanpiller and Emily Sanderson for emergency medical dispatcher.
Congrats, you guys. All right. Let me get, tell you what. Sarah? Screw up your last name, I'm sorry. Emily? Congratulations. Thanks, sir. Congratulations, Sarah. Okay? I have a proclamation for the city of Washington National Public Safety and Telecommunicators, that's hard to say. Telecommunicators Week, April 9th through the 15th. Whereas, emergencies can occur at any time to require police, fire, or emergency medical services. Whereas, when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent on the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Washington Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services and are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the city of Washington have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism due the performance of their job in the past year, now therefore I, James D. Hagnorn, Mayor of the City of Washington, do hereby proclaim April 9th Washington, Franklin County, Missouri, in honor of the men and women who serve with diligence and professionalism to keep our city and citizens safe. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Police Department reappointments.
Good evening, council. We have 2 police officers up for reappointment, Melinda Schmelz and Cody Boone. They're both doing a great job for us, so I recommend them for reappointment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Holtmeyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved. Next one, Sherry.
Treasurer Collector, Deputy Treasurer Assessor reappointments.
Okay, I will read it. I herewith submit for your approval the following names for reappointment. Mary Sprung as Treasurer Collector, term ending of April 2024, and Darren Lamb, Deputy Treasurer Assessor, term ending April 2024. Respectfully submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Bear. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Citizens' comments.
Would any of our citizens who are in attendance like to come forward? Okay. Next there, Sherry.
Report of Department Heads, Distinguished Budget Award and Certificate of Achievement Award.
Included in your packet tonight, you have the 2 awards, 2 of the 3 awards that the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, 2 of the awards that they offer. The first is the Distinguished Budget Award, which has been in effect since 1984, which is for this big book that we prepare. This is actually our 14th year to receive that award. And then we also have the Certificate of Achievement program for our annual audit, which is the 13th year, which we just got this week. Actually, I just got it today in the mail, which is for this booklet. So, and that award has actually been in effect from the GFOA since 1945. So, and there's only 1,800 municipalities that receive the Distinguished Budget Award, and I think around 4,500 municipalities that receive the Certificate of Achievement Award in the 50 states, so it's a pretty big deal.
So
Takes a lot
congrats
of
to Mary and the finance
And the
staff
finance-
for
yeah.
keeping this, and
And especially the budget book, there's a lot of information in here. And where this comes into play is when we go out for bond financing, this is where they look for a lot of this information, and that's why we get our A+ bond rating. And so this takes about 4 months at least of hard work that goes into this. And the audit goes about 3 full months with staff. So it takes a lot of time to develop all of this down into these little booklets, so.
good job.
A lot of information, a lot of good information in here, so.
Great job, Mary. I know we come to expect that every year, but it is an honor, and thank
It
you
is.
for all your work. Appreciate that.
Yep, and we have a good team upstairs in finance, so a lot of hard work.
That's all electronic?
Sorry.
Is it all on the computer?
Yes.
the budget is.
Actually, the budget's on our city website, I think.
Yes.
Yes,
everything
it's
is on
all
the website.
uploaded on the city website, both of them.
Congratulations.
Yep, thank
You
you.
guys haven't seen that book that Mary held up. It's really helpful.
Yeah,
I'm not a
well,
finance
I can pass this
person,
one
and
around if you want to
it's
look. And
really
this
helpful.
is the new program that we got 2 years ago, so it looks a lot nicer. Well, a lot of you are newer, but this is a lot sharper than
I
what
think
our
they were
old
all
one-
here when you got Questica. Is that what you?
Right, but the budget book before this, where
Yeah.
it didn't look as nice as this. So this is a lot sharper looking than the old one. So I'll pass this one around.
Instead of a bunch of numbers, huh?
You're right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. You'll get that later too.
Right. I know.
Sherry?
Okay, go ahead, Sherry, with the ordinances.
Okay, oh, sorry, I just
Sorry,
want to jump in
John,
here real
go for
quick. At the last Highway Transportation meeting, we notified the Transportation Committee of opportunity with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We've been in contact with USACE Kansas City District for, I don't know, maybe about a year now. Engineering Department put together this plan to look at an alternate to a causeway that's been discussed for quite some time. If you recall, when the bridge was built, there is a frequency of inundation of a flood about once every 10 years that you would expect 47 to be shut down. And we all recognize that as being somewhat of a concern when a $66+ million bridge goes up, that you would anticipate that not to happen as often. Washington School District has some concern there, obviously, because they're split by the river, but there's a lot of things that go into that. So with that, Warren County, a couple years ago, put together a build grant application to construct this causeway. That had a price tag upwards of $70 million. A causeway does what you would imagine it to do. It keeps traffic moving during flood events, but that's about all that it does. So we looked at doing an alternate, and really it was just a concept, but is there any possibility to build a levee maybe as an alternate across the river? That concept will be ran by, obviously, engineering hydraulics of the river. A levee system cannot affect anything upstream, downstream, or on the Washington side. So there's a lot of things that have to go into play. Warren County right now is going through flood map modifications with FEMA. So I called some contacts with FEMA. Now's the time to look at, is this even possible? So with that, talking to USACE, the Corps, they indicated that they have a 100% federal funding grant where they would actually take the flood models and basically drop a levee into the river bottom to see what it would really do upstream and downstream. FEMA would have interest in this, obviously. The FAA, because it would protect a federally funded airport. MoDOT, you could look at protecting Highway 47 in place. State Parks has indicated that Washington Highway 47 is the crossing to get from Katy Trail to the Rock Island Trail. Obviously, the property owners in the river bottoms would have protected levee. Kind of think of like a small version of the Monarch levee in Chesterfield. It's about 20% as big as that, so it's not nearly as robust as what that is, but that could essentially bring that out of the current floodplain and protect all those entities. So again, USACE is on board with that. We submitted a letter to them asking us to get funded for this. It's about I think $110,000 hydraulic study that we would not have to pay for. There is no money to build this. This does not mean that this gets built. There's a lot of environmental concerns and those things, but you can't even look at this concept without knowing what the water does coming down the river. So this is the first step in looking at any concept. A causeway would have its own effects to the river. So, you know, it's just, we need to look at an alternate that provides benefit across multiple agencies rather than just transportation alone. So positive stuff there. We won't know if we get the grant probably for a few months. It may not get funded this year, maybe next year, but we do have interest at USACE on this. So, I mean, 10,
Nice to
20,
know.
30 years down the road, pretty big deal.
Be good information. Thanks, John.
I'd like to thank John. I mean, John, this is one of the reasons why we're going to miss him, because this was a concept that came up. We discussed it upstairs in our conference room, came up a couple of times. As a matter of fact, these discussions kind of what led to the omnibus bill and the $3 million that was awarded to us for our airport was the idea. It all started that with this discussion. But this is one of the concepts, and John's the one that brought it to their attention. And got their curiosity going as well, and that's the whole reason why you're even having this discussion at this point. So,
This is one of these big dreams, you guys, and things that we ought to be shooting for. This is certainly not going to happen overnight. It's going to be years away. We all know that. But this is brick one, brick two, perhaps.
Do we have any kind of a concept drawing of what we might want it to look like?
Yeah, I'm probably pulling up here. Give me 1 second. I gotta remember where it's at. Here, I'll tell you what, let me do this. No, you're not.
At one point, I think they had 2 or 3 concepts.
Yeah.
well, what John had was the only concept that anybody's ever.
We had there was a concept for a causeway,
Yeah.
and that was actually submitted for federal grant
Yeah.
to build, but it did not get,
That would have taken it from like basically Augusta Bottom Road and shot it straight across the field over to 94, and you'd have your causeway, rather than follow down 47, just run a straight stretch over there. But it-
Warren County.
Yeah, it was Warren County, or Boones Lick Regional
Yeah,
Planning
sorry.
Commission that put that application together at that time.
Give me 1 second, sorry.
The fault of that is our airport's not protected anymore.
Right.
That's right. You don't have any
Good
protection.
idea to get
for
from
that.
here to 94, even in a flood, but it doesn't help our airport out.
And not to mention, it actually puts a, I guess, a finish line at your airport too, because your airport runs perpendicular to that causeway.
Right.
So you lose airspace there as well. Not saying that, you couldn't overcome that, but there is a little bit of a concern with that. Here, let me. It's coming up. Oh, no, not responding. That's not good.
Is it one of those huge files?
Yeah, it's pretty big. All right. So there's a lot going on here, but it's actually pretty simple. All right, so bottom right, you kind of see that, just a photo of what a causeway is, right? What you got to realize is that every 30, 40 feet, there's a pier there, right, across that causeway. Yellow dash line from the bridge to the north, yellow dash line right in the middle of the page. That's where that causeway was going to go, okay? So when you start like adding up those piers, they have a diameter, right? They block the flow of water as well, okay? So what we did is that we calculated how many piers we thought it would be, and that red coming off the bridge, that would be essentially a causeway that is made up of all those piers that are kind of put together, blocks the river, and it goes down into this new levee, which is that blue that you see, okay? That location is chosen because it's right on the river side of where Highway 47 is in place. So MoDOT would be interested in this project because they wouldn't necessarily have to rebuild Highway 47. It could remain in place, okay? You can kind of see where our airport's at. Then you actually have to come back out of the protected levee area. That's at the top right corner. You can't really see that, but up in this area to get into Dutso. So again, we don't know where it comes off the bridge, where that could be. That could just as easily be closer to where it says Highway 47. It just depends on the actual engineering and the hydraulics of the river. And we don't know that until the study gets done. So that area, and I don't have get that, here you go. Let's do that. Okay. So this, there we go. Yeah, I can. So this area right here is what I have shown now. Well, whatever. But that area could just as easily shift to the north in order to open up the flow area of the river. But we don't know that until the Corps does their study. That's what this is to see, is this even feasible? If it comes back and says it isn't feasible, well, then we know that the solution is the causeway, right? But you got to look at an alternate. Again, a causeway provides transportation, but a causeway doesn't protect your airport. It doesn't protect Highway 47 in place. It doesn't provide potential development opportunity. It doesn't provide protection for the farmers down there. So that was the idea, is let's marry up a bunch of these concerns and see if this is the right piece of infrastructure. And again, you kind of see on the left what the cross section could be. We just threw that on there as just a way to kind of cost estimate it. I mean, they're similar. You talk a $70 million causeway, you may be able to actually make it a little bit less expensive because you're just using dirt and moving it. So again, we don't know that until this hydraulic study gets done. You don't look at any of that stuff until this is done. And the federal government's gonna pay for it. So there's a bonus.
Nice. We all know the river goes up and the river goes down. And when the river gets high and we build this, we've just inflicted somebody else with more pain. But I like it, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, you know, I mean, Mother Nature can be mean.
Oh, here? I'm sorry. So, real quick with that, Dwayne, just so right now, it's called the floodway. That is actually the location of where, it's the location of where the flow of the 100-year flood actually goes through. The floodplain's outside of that, basically. That line is somewhere right in here. So basically what that means is you could fill this area from that up to the Katy Trail without really even getting too much permitting done now today. So I would not be surprised if this hydraulic study actually has the levee going more right here.
Right. Makes sense.
But again,
Well, there's a big
You're protecting-
topographical difference between the next to the bluff and
yeah.
there.
And again, we don't know until it gets done. All that I know is if you're looking at spending $70 to $80 million to build a causeway, there might be a solution somewhere that's around 40 that actually provides protection of the airport, protection of this, all those other things. That's the idea. And again, if the Corps is paying for it to look into it, it's wise to at least take that.
If you take the curves out of the river, that's the straight line where the water's gonna flow.
Yeah, right.
Go stand at Labadee Power Plant, look at the tree lower, you can see where it was in '93, where it went straight. That's what you get. That's the whole idea.
So,
Hopefully, we'll see it before we all die.
Hell, I think I've already lived through two 500-year floods.
No, but this is something that we're going to pursue, you guys.
You're old, I didn't know you were that old, Dwayne.
Can I get a motion to accept it into the minutes, please?
So motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Holtmeyer.
Louder, Al.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
That's fine.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Ordinances, resolutions, and ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of agreement to sell and purchase real estate by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Northern Star Homes, LLC.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
As we mentioned in the workshop, this is to enter into an agreement with Northern Star Homes. This will begin a phase of the East-West Parkway that would be just east of Beaker Road, and the connection that it would eventually make all the way over to South Point Road. Any other questions from what we had earlier in the workshop? Okay.
Okay?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement to sell and purchase real estate by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Northern Star Homes, LLC. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels? Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, the ordinance 7 alpha passes. Let's have B, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an order for services agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Paycor HCM, Inc. for payroll, timekeeping, and HRIS software and hardware.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
Are there any other questions that anyone has from the workshop?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an order for services agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Paycor HCM, Inc. for payroll, timekeeping, and HRIS software and hardware. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels? Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7B passes.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
The next two items just release the city's claim to the property out there within Oldenburg Industrial Park. As we said earlier, there's about 29% of it is taken up in stormwater easements and future right-of-way, but this just releases that. Both of these serve two separate purposes, but I think we explained that to you at the workshop.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7C passes. D, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed of release by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
As we said, this is the second quitclaim deed that we need to go ahead and do in order to move forward on the sale of Lot 1 in Oldenburg Industrial Park.
Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed of release by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels? Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7D passes. 7E, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a temporary site license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Again, as we said in the workshop, I don't think it's been there for a couple of years, but this would go ahead and put another mobile wireless tower up for the fair during the period of the fair for better communication up there.
Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a temporary site license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
By your vote, 7D passes.
I'd like to thank Mark Scorny. He's here now after his day job is complete or whatever. Thank you for being persistent about getting that back for us, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. 7F, please, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a fairgrounds operating agreement by and between the City of Washington and the Washington Chamber of Commerce, also known as Washington Area Chamber of Commerce, doing business as Washington Town and Country Fair.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
As we mentioned in the workshop, there was just a few changes to the previous three-year arrangement. This will be a new three-year contract that we have. Some of the meters were changed. Some areas on the map were amended to reflect leases we now have with Washington Soccer Association, and also to keep our parking lot by our pool open, et cetera, some of those things. But for the most part, it reads just like the first agreement that was successful, we feel, from both parties.
Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a fairgrounds operating agreement by and between the City of Washington and Washington Chamber of Commerce, also known as Washington Area Chamber of Commerce, doing business as Washington Town and Country Fair. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7F passes. Thank you, Wayne. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment to City Contractor Agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Modern Pool Management Corporation, doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Yes, this is the pool lifeguard and maintenance increase that we discussed earlier, $39,300 to help us get lifeguards this year. Any further questions, comments?
Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment to City Contractor Agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Modern Pool Management Corporation, doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7G passes. Now, thank you, Wayne. H, please.
An ordinance repealing Section 71.285 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, and enacting in lieu thereof a new Section 71.285.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Council, this is what we discussed in the workshop regarding the tall grass and weeds code, with what we we discussed.
Okay. Go ahead.
An ordinance repealing section 71.285 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, and enacting lieu thereof a new section 71.285. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels? Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Pat.
By your vote, ordinance 7H passes. Last one, Sherry,
An
please.
ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a service agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Idemia Identity and Security USA LLC for a live scan fingerprint system.
Holtmar.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
Again, council, this is, was discussed in the workshop. It's for our electronic fingerprinting system to offer into an agreement with them.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a service agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Idemia Identity and Security USA LLC for a live scan fingerprint system. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
By your vote, ordinance 7I is approved.
Mayor's report?
Tomorrow's election day, gang. So please, everybody, get out and vote. I'm not going to tell you how, but I sure hope you do. Also, I have to echo Tim Frankenberg's thoughts about the volunteer fire department and the police department getting stuff together for that wonderful breakfast on Saturday. That was Washington at our finest for you guys that didn't have a chance to be there. It was really great. So thanks to everybody.
City Administrator's report?
I just want to go ahead and make a comment or whatever. This is John Nilgis's last meeting with the city and last city council meeting. I think it's fair to say you've heard some of the comments Tim made a few earlier, whatever. John has saved the taxpayers a lot of money in his time that he's been here. He's looked at every single problem, figured out what was the right solution, did not have bias. We always knew that we could go ahead and count on him when it came to making the right decision, and we had to make some tough ones. We had to do a 180 on the landfill, on our direction of what we were doing. We had to go ahead and sit there and consider doing a contracted service for residential pickup. Maybe not everybody in town likes it, but if you look at the bottom line, you should. Because it protects, like I said, or at least they get the best bang for their buck. But a lot of those ideas, we trusted John to go ahead and come up with the numbers to provide that for us. So the city is going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. So thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
And above what Darren says, with all the projects that John does, he's always available with a phone call.
Yes.
I've known in my 10 years of being here, I know you weren't here at the beginning, but when you have, it was a night and day difference. When John came on board, you call him anytime, got an answer, got it fixed. So I appreciate that. Appreciate working with you, John.
100%.
Agreed.
Very much.
Council comments?
I just made mine.
Any others?
I do have an item, or two items at least for you in executive session.
City Attorney's report. Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.